Hello and welcome to Rise and Unwind Orlando. I'm Chris Malony. Every week we bring you things you can do right here in your neighborhood. On this week's show, we got this.
People are valuing memories. Memories are appreciating in value much more than tangible items. So going on vacation, building stories for life, getting into experiences that you wouldn't be able to experience anywhere else.
So it's really important, you've got to look beyond just the scales and look at the body composition now when you lose weight.
All that and more right here on Rise and Unwind Orlando.
Fans of When Calls the Heart are finally getting the backstory, and it's a pretty big one. Hope Valley 1874 is now streaming, taking us to the very beginning of the town and the people who pretty much built it. We're joined by Bethany Joy Lenz and Jill Hennessy, who play two of the women at the center of it all. And it's great to have you two here. How are you?
Hi, so great to be here.
All right.
Thank you for having us.
No worries. I've heard a lot about this. A lot of my fans, or a lot of the people watching, are fans of the show. And for people that do already or are already fans of this world, what's different about seeing Hope Valley kind of at the way beginning?
Oh man, I think it's going to be so incredible. I think for people to be able to see this town being built from the ground up. It's something. It's kind of like when you meet a new friend, or fall in love. The more that you find out about the person that you're in love with, you go to meet their family, you go and meet their siblings, you go sit there with their mom and go through the family photo book. Like, that's what we're giving you guys a chance to do as fans of When Calls the Heart. And we really hope to do it justice.
And Bethany, your character, Rebecca, is coming into the frontier life from pretty much Chicago life. What kind of adjustment is she dealing with early on?
Well, there are several adjustments. The first being that she's been recently widowed. So trying to figure out emotionally where to place her grief while also being in this sort of emergency situation of needing to get her daughter to a safe place. And we don't know exactly why yet. Well, we know, but you're going to find out. And she's got to get across the frontier and get her daughter into a safe place in Canada. So she doesn't have a lot of time for emotional processing. And that's kind of where Hattie Quinn comes in. Jill's character, it opens up, once Rebecca lands, Hattie becomes a source of stability and trust for Rebecca to actually start to learn how to soften and open up.
And yeah, she was saying, Jill, Hattie's already part of this community. How would you describe her role in shaping what Hope Valley becomes?
Wow. Well, she's Hattie Quinn runs the trading post, and she originally came out with her husband and very small girl at the beginning. And now her daughter is around 20 years old, but she recently lost her husband. So now she's running this trading post by herself with her daughter. And she is sort of the glue that holds the community together. And I think she runs it with a great sense of humor and incredible, direct, no nonsense kind of spirit, and has great connections with the whole community. But then Rebecca starts walking into town with her daughter, riding in a covered wagon. And I think Hattie identifies a woman who's very courageous and intelligent and is kind of haunted by something, and Hattie's not sure what is haunting Rebecca, but I think she also identifies a kindred spirit that she might become friends with. And I think Rebecca sort of opens Hattie up to how lonely she really feels, and in a lot of feelings she's been trying to suppress just so she can get through day to day, because that's what this whole show is about. It's just these characters trying to survive every single day.
Hey, horses be walking, so it's not that big. You're not too far off.
Exactly.
All right, when people start watching now, what do you think is going to be like getting them hooked and keep them coming back each and every week?
The characters. I mean, the setting is amazing, but it's also something that they've seen before, maybe not as broken down, but we are using the When Calls the Heart sets. There are a few locations that will be new for When Calls fans. And for people who haven't watched When Calls the Heart, you don't need to. You can still jump right in and you won't miss a beat. But I would say the relationships of who the characters are there's something for everyone.
Hey, I want to thank you two for joining me today. Hope Valley 1874 is streaming now on Hallmark Plus with new episodes dropping every Thursday. You can jump in anytime to catch up. Thank you two for joining me today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have you ever rooted for two characters to finally figure it out, even though life keeps getting in the way? That's a big part of what has fans coming back to Ransom Canyon. Season 2 picks up 6 months later, and with more questions about love, family, and what home really means. Joining us are the stars of the series, Josh Duhamel and Minka Kelly. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
Thank you.
Good to have you.
Season 2 picks up 6 months after the finale without giving anything away. Where do we find Staten and Quinn emotionally when we see them again?
Well, I think that, you know, if I could take that one, my character is definitely ready to treat this relationship with the care that it deserves. Because I think he realizes after having these 6 months away, he realizes that he probably could have made more of an effort, probably could have done things differently, could have called, could have wrote, could have gone to see her, didn't do any of those things. And I think that he really wants to right the wrongs of, you know, the past mistakes he's made in this relationship. And then he finds out very quickly after that she moved on, and it's too late, dude.
One of the big themes this season is choosing between the life you built and the life you dreamed about. Minka, what makes Quinn's decision so difficult this time around?
Well, you know, she was in 6 months in New York for 6 months, and you know, it's a little easier out of sight, out of mind to romanticize this new life that she could possibly live, and meets this new guy who on paper makes so much sense and says and does all the right things. And then she goes home as she'd always planned, and she's then faced with this new version of Staten that she's wanted from him her whole life. And it's a little too late. So now she's in this predicament of, do I turn my back on this new thing that feels fresh and new and potentially promising, or do I take the opportunity, this chance to fulfill this dream of hers, you know, where she comes home, where she realizes that home isn't just this place, it's this person. And that just becomes so undeniable for her. And home is where the heart is.
And Josh, Staten has always been driven by protecting his family's legacy, but this season seems to put love more at the center of his journey. How does that change him?
Well, I think that the two kind of go hand in hand. The ranch has been so part of him and his family for so long that he sort of conflates the two. Like family, land, legacy are all kind of part of all he cares about, really. And when he loses, sorry, I took this hat from the set. I'm going to take it off. When he loses his family in season 1, he sort of loses his purpose and not really sure how he wants to go forward with the ranch. And I think that there's something happens along the way when, I think it's after she leaves, that he really realizes that he wants to share this with her. He doesn't want to go forward without having Quinn with him. And all of these things sort of come together to give him this purpose to keep going with the ranch and keep doing these things that he's done forever. And without her, there's not really much reason to keep doing it.
Also, the chemistry between the two of you has become one of the biggest reasons fans have embraced the show. What is it like continuing that relationship this season now that the stakes are even higher?
I think this season was really fun exploring this. You know, it's a whole different sort of energy between the two of them. You know, it's like she was gone and was able to just sort of, she went to play with the New York Phil and choose herself and live this new fun life out of sight, out of mind, and have some fun for a little while. And then she comes home to this new version of Staten where he's so light and charming and funny, and this is the love of her life. And so that new dynamic between them is really fun in season 2 to play with and to be genuinely charmed by. And so it's a big difference from season 1 and season 2 in that regard, I think, which is really fun.
Josh, Minka, I really want to thank you for hanging out with me today. Ransom Canyon Season 2 is now available to stream on Netflix. Thanks for hanging out with me this morning.
Thanks for having us.
There's something satisfying about finding a great bargain. National Bargain Hunting Week is the perfect excuse to hunt for big savings and unexpected finds. Let's take a look.
Ollie's, the official destination of National Bargain Hunting Week, where you can give your home a reset, get ready for fall, or stock up on everyday essentials.
You'll find bargains on brand names you know and love with up to 70% off the fancy stores. From food and cleaning to housewares, seasonal, books, and more, Ollie's is America's fastest growing closeout retailer, making it easier than ever to score incredible savings.
Inventory is always changing, so every trip has new deals and finds around every corner.
Here are some great vacuums and brands you could find. Stock up on Fabuloso for $3.99 instead of $4.99, plus Mr. Clean Magic Erasers at more than 20% off fancy store prices. Get your home fall ready with fall wreaths for $19.99. They're priced $29.99. Fall gnomes, $4.99 versus $9.99. For outdoor projects, grab Steelton garden hoses for $14.99. They're priced $17.99. Then refresh your home with decorative pillows for just $9.99 compared to $39.99. You can also make the most of the last few days of summer with Aquamate 25-pound chlorine tablets for $99.99. They're priced $134.99. Wow! Head to Ollie's and discover why shoppers love finding good stuff cheap.
Ollie's has daily deals for every day of National Bargain Hunting Week, August 10th through the 16th. Check back each day to see what the daily deal is to make sure you don't miss out. Learn more at ollies.com.
Have you noticed more people spending their money on trips instead of buying more stuff? For a lot of travelers, vacations have become about making memories, seeing new places, and having experiences they'll remember for years. Today, we're joined by Ken Muscat, president of Scenic Group at USA and LATAM, to talk about the travel trends driving that shift. Welcome to the show, Ken. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so we're hearing that more people are investing in experiences instead of things. Why do you think that's becoming such a big priority?
I think it's great. I think it's a big priority because people are valuing memories. Memories are appreciating in value much more than tangible items. So going on vacation, building stories for life, getting into experiences that you wouldn't be able to experience anywhere else, enjoying the destination, the culture, being one with the culture and the destination that you're visiting is becoming far more valuable for people. Those Instagrammable moments and those memories that they could share with family and friends is something that people are counting on these days.
So what are some of the biggest travel trends that you're seeing right now, and where are people choosing to go?
Sure. Well, I think some of the biggest travel trends that people are experiencing or that we're seeing today is planning as far in advance as possible. A lot of people have this misnomer that if they wait until the last minute, they're going to get some kind of great deal or some kind of great discount. I'm not going to say that that doesn't happen once in a while, but really, if you want to have the vacation of a lifetime, you need to plan in advance. So you go to the destination you want. In our case, you get the stateroom category that you want, the ship, and the date that you're looking for. What we're seeing as far as trends is cultural immersion is becoming huge. Demand for smaller luxury ships, like what we offer on river cruises or on our specialty yachts on both Scenic and Emerald cruises. Those smaller yachts are becoming a huge trend now in the cruise industry, where 30% of all ships that are out there in the cruise industry today are 1,000 people or less. So a lot of people think, when I think about cruise, it's going to be on these big ships that hold 6,000, 7,000 people. There's more of a trend now of going on these smaller ships because they get into ports and into cities, the heart of the city that most ships can't get into. And we're also seeing a demand for connecting a cruise vacation with a land journey. So for example, you could go on one of our yachts in the Seychelles, and then you can piggyback that with an African safari. So these kinds of things, and to your point, the destinations like the Seychelles, like the Caribbean, like the Mediterranean, like Antarctica, the expedition, the discovery kind of destinations, as well as river cruises, are becoming super hot trends these days.
That sounds incredible. But travel isn't cheap these days. How are people balancing those dream vacations with being smart about their budgets?
Well, I think one of the most important things is to make sure that you're investing in exceptional experiences, but you also want that transparency and the value and the confidence. So one of the biggest questions that you need to ask is, what is actually included to make sure that my dollars are going as far as possible? People don't mind spending money on memories and once in a lifetime bucket list kind of experiences, but they want to make sure that they're getting a true value for that. They don't want surprises that you're spending X amount of dollars up front, and then once you get on board, in our case, once you get on board a cruise ship, you start getting nickel and dime for everything else. So making sure that you know what is included in the vacation experience is going to make sure that that smart spending happens. You want to be able to budget with confidence and not worry about those additional costs. So that's really one of the most important things. In our case with Scenic, everything's included. So you've got the food, you've got the drinks, you've got gratuities, you've got shore excursions, everything that you can think of, which makes it much easier for the guest or for the client to spend those dollars up front and know that there's not going to be any surprises at the end.
We've been hearing lately the term immersive travel experiences. What does that really mean, and why are so many travelers looking for them?
It's all about connection, Dan. People are looking for those places that they're really going to visit once in their life, that they're going to be able to get off the ship and they can actually go to somebody's home in the destination that they're going to and get a home cooked meal and learn about the culture. Imagine something like that, something that is very, very unique. More time getting into the heart of the city and experiencing what the city has to offer you, whether it be from a cultural immersive perspective, a culinary perspective, a wine perspective. This is what people are looking for. That's what immersive means. It means connecting with the people that you're traveling with and connecting with the destinations that you're visiting and the communities that you're visiting. And that's what we really pride ourselves on offering.
And some people hear the words luxury vacation, they might panic and immediately think it's out of reach. Has luxury travel become more accessible? And what should travelers consider before investing in a premium trip?
It's far more accessible. A lot of people think luxury and they think, oh, that's going to be out of my range, or even more so, they think I have to do that once I'm retired and I have more time. It's actually far more accessible now. It's far more affordable than people think. You can do luxury vacations on 7-night cruises. It doesn't have to be a lengthy 21-night cruise. And again, back to my point of talking about things being all included. When you think of the all-inclusive experience, you know what you're getting hit up with right up front. And then you're able to evaluate that value and make sure that your dollars are going as far as you want them to go. So that is the biggest consideration. And people are looking for these unique experiences. It's important to understand, what is the size ship? What is the guest to crew ratio? What is the service that I'm going to get on board? What is the kind of food and dining experience I'm going to get on board? And how long am I going to be in port? People don't want anymore to be, visiting a port from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and then have to rush back on the ship. They want to get there at 7 in the morning and they want to be able to stay late at night, or in some cases even overnight. So those are the kinds of questions that are very critical to ask.
All right, Ken, where can we go for more information? Maybe even book a trip for ourselves?
Well, you could go to scenic.cruises or emerald.cruises to learn all about Scenic and Emerald cruises and tours. Hopefully book a trip for yourself. We have itineraries open through 2028 and 2029. So the sooner the better.
Ken Muscat, I really want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Ever look at health insurance plans and wonder how you're supposed to compare them all? With enrollment season getting closer and healthcare costs still on the rise, understanding your options can make a big difference. Joining us now is Charlotte West, Vice President of Surest at United Healthcare, to help explain what people should know. Welcome, Charlotte.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Healthcare costs keep climbing. Why is choosing the right health plan now more important than ever?
You are absolutely right. Healthcare costs are incredibly high, and healthcare and health insurance can be really confusing for people. So finding affordable, easy to understand coverage has become really a top priority for most Americans. And as we get closer to the fall, when many people select their health coverage for the next year, it's really important to take a little bit of time to understand what those options are. This is also important now because many employers are actually starting to offer multiple choices, and they're doing that because one size doesn't necessarily fit all. But it also means it's even more important to review those options ahead of time. That will help you choose the plan that best meets your specific needs and will also actually help you get the most out of the benefits that your employer offers to you.
What are some of the newer coverage options that consumers should know about?
Yeah, there's actually now a range of new health insurance options available in the market. And these new plans aim to do a couple of different things. They're designed to have a really simple, easy to use member experience. Many of them promise more transparency and cost, which is a really important aspect. And many also offer a broad choice of providers. The Surest plan from United Healthcare, for example, is really designed to be more affordable and more transparent. It has no deductibles, there's no coinsurance. Instead, the Surest plan has just copays or price tags that people can see in advance. And with Surest, these copays are actually lower for providers with track records of effective, cost-efficient care.
When people are comparing plans, what are the biggest things they should be looking for?
Yeah, there are a few important things to keep in mind. First, I would consider plans with a familiar digital experience. So the digital tools that most health plans offer now should look and feel like booking a trip or shopping or banking online. Second, it's important to look for health plans that offer those clear upfront prices, especially if budgeting is important to you. That simplicity and clarity will help you better understand what's covered and see ahead of time what the care you need is going to cost you. And lastly, it's really important to look at that provider network, so that network of doctors and hospitals, and make sure the ones that are important to you are part of that network.
How are these newer plans helping make healthcare costs more predictable?
Yeah, that's really important. Many of them are offering these actual prices. So not estimates or not ranges, but actual prices that people can see in advance. This means that there's no guesswork or complicated math to figure out. Many of these new plans are also embracing technology to help people make better, more informed choices. So think about like searching and comparison tools that are designed to work like a really familiar shopping experience. And lastly, these new plans tend to offer virtual and alternative care options that can be actually really convenient and more affordable as well.
All right, where can people go for more information?
Yeah, people can go to surest.com to learn more about the Surest plan I described. And I would really encourage people to ask their employer about the health plan options that will be available this coming enrollment season and start to check them out now.
Charlotte, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
GLP-1 medications have changed the way many people approach weight loss, but could there be an unexpected downside? New research suggests muscle loss may be part of the equation, and scientists are looking at ways to help people lose fat while preserving muscle. Joining us is Sarah Kennedy, founder and CEO of CaliCurb. Welcome, Sarah.
Hi, Chris. Great to be on the show.
What does this latest clinical research show, and why is it getting so much attention in the GLP-1 conversation?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. We published this latest human clinical 10 days ago, and why it's exciting is it shows that we had 150 patients, men and women, over BMI between 25 and 35 over 6 months. And what it showed was you got a significant amount of weight loss, but it was all fat, no muscle. So it completely preserved the muscle. Now, if you compare that to GLP-1 drugs or synthetics, what you do get is up to 40% muscle loss. And that is so important. Muscle, as we know, is important for strength, mobility, and healthy aging. So it's really important. You've got to look beyond just the scales and look at the body composition now when you lose weight. And this is our 4th human clinical with CaliCurb, which is 100% natural. And as I said, showed all muscle, 100% fat loss, and no muscle.
Why is muscle loss such an important concern for people taking GLP-1 medications, and what does this new research tell us?
Well, I think muscle is really important for strength and mobility. So you really, as we age, we lose about 3% of muscle per year, but on the drugs, you can lose up to 40%. That's an enormous amount of muscle. You really want to be losing fat, not the muscle. And that's what we were able to show with CaliCurb. CaliCurb was developed by the New Zealand government over 16 years and 30 million in research. And this was the latest out of 4 clinical studies. So we know we decrease hunger, we decrease craving, we decrease calorie intake. But what we wanted to show is in the longer term, we got sustained weight loss. But not only did we get the weight loss, we got this wonderful body composition. And what I really liked about it, of the fat, in the treatment group, they lost 3.5 times more visceral fat than the non-treatment group or placebo lost. And visceral fat is that fat that sits around your organs that you really don't want. So it's a real breakthrough. So we are thrilled, with these results. And as I said, it's 100% natural, and we're working with the body. It's not a synthetic.
How does naturally activating the body's own GLP-1 work differently than synthetic GLP-1 injections?
Yeah, it's a good question. So what we do is we go down, we disintegrate or dissolve in the upper gut, and we stimulate or super stimulate the release of your own natural hormones, your own natural appetite-suppressing hormones. So we all know GLP-1, which is the one reduces your hunger. We also stimulate CCK, which is an appetite-suppressing hormone, but it helps metabolize fat, and PYY, which helps preserve that muscle. So what we're doing is we are super stimulating your own body's natural appetite-suppressing hormone. It's like we are your gut-brain axis, we're super stimulating. So you feel full faster. So you take it around an hour to an hour and a half before a meal, and it will just make you feel full faster. So we know that you reduce your calorie intake by 18%. And I'll say that again, it works in an hour, and that is published. So, go onto the website, look at www.kellycurb.com, and you can read all about this research. You can look at the government scientist which did this and ask all the questions you want to do. But look, they're 100% natural. They're tiny capsules. And we're just, if you want to put it that way, we're hacking your hunger. We're telling you you're full.
For someone looking for a natural option or coming off GLP-1 medications and wanting to maintain their results, how does CaliCurb work and where can they find it?
Absolutely. It's great for both as an alternative, if you don't want a pharmaceutical, or coming off a GLP-1 synthetic because you have suppressed your own hormones. So, absolutely great for that. Go on to kellycurb.com. You can buy it on Amazon, kellycurb.com, or we sell through practitioners here in the US. The great thing is we actually grow the extract in New Zealand, but we manufacture in the US. So if you want to order, enter the discount code START, and it'll be with you in about 3 days.
All right, Sarah, one more time, where can people go for more information?
Sure, it's www.kellycurb.com, and don't forget that discount code START, and you'll get 10% off your first order.
Sarah, thanks so much for being here and helping to hack our hunger.
Thank you so much.
That's it for Rise and Unwind Orlando. Thanks for tuning in and checking out the show. Find us on social media at Rise Unwind. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube if you want to subscribe and check out our new show every week. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next week, that was Rise and Unwind.